What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome everyone to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell, and in the background is our faithful producer DK. Appreciate the help, no doubt. This is the 6th installment of our 10-part camp positional battle, and we're excited to get into it. This time we'll be talking offensive guard, position that has I think one spot not a lot of intrigue, but the other spot a ton of intrigue, and I think a ton of competition heading into training camp this year. And really, man, I think you could see a number of different guys take a hold of this position, and that's always exciting when you have a position that has multiple guys that could be competing and ultimately win the spot. So, we're excited to get into it. But before we do, hit the subscribe button, give us a like, and of course, click the notification bell to keep you up to date on all your Ravens news. But Jimbo, kind of break it down. What are we talking about, and how are we doing this video?
That's right. We're talking about the Battle of the Bends. No, I'm totally kidding. Just like you said, Glenn, we're framing this as the guard position because one, we're not doing interior offensive line because we know who's playing center. Barring injury, it's Tyler Linderbaum. If it's not Tyler, it's Patrick Maccari if Linderbaum gets injured. I mean, it's just as simple as that. It's cut and dry. So we're focused on the guards in this video, and more like Glenn said, at right guard. The only question I have about right guard is why sometimes, this happens. Sometimes our significant others are just too nice to us and won't tell us when we need to do something. Kevin Zeitler's wife is being too nice because he needs to cut that hair. You see that Chia Pet hair? Not
I saw that
he
was studying film on vacation, and that wasn't that was kind of cool to see, honestly.
The Chia Pet hair? No, dude, you got to. So, but point being, all that said, he's got the lock at right guard. And so, no questions there. What it really comes down to at the left guard is Ben Powers, Ben Cleveland, Tyree Phillips, and there's a fourth one that I'm missing now. It's escaping me. Hold on.
Well, I think we got to throw Patrick Maccari in this group.
I guess you have to. That's fair enough. But there's another one, at least on the depth chart, for Ben Powers.
With Khalil McKenzie.
Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Ben Cleveland, Ben Powers, Tyree Phillips. Okay, yeah. So we covered it, and then
maybe Khalil McKenzie. Yeah.
And I guess you're right. You could add Maccari in there as well. That's fair.
I think Maccari's in there because of the fact that they always say they want the best 5, and if Ronnie Stanley's 100% healthy and at left tackle, and we expect Morgan Moses and Zeitler to be on the right side, and we expect Linderbaum to be in the middle. So if they're all there, why not put your best 5th guy on there and put him in? So I'm gonna start there with you, Jimbo. I'm gonna put that right. I'm gonna kind of serve that up to you, because if everyone else around the left guard position is healthy heading out of camp, and Stanley's ready to go and he's feeling good, the leg's feeling good. If Maccari they paid him, they extended him. You want to keep Maccari sitting on the bench for a guy like Tyree Phillips or Ben Powers? I mean, do you really think that they would beat him out in a position of 1 versus 1 battle?
I think Ben Powers is an eventual cut. I don't even think he makes this team, to be honest with you, because he also saves us money, $2.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ben Powers is gone. The other thing I think is interesting about Ben Cleveland is that right now the depth chart, they have him backing up Kevin Zeitler. And correct me if I'm wrong here, wasn't he a right guard coming out of college?
Ben Cleveland was, yep.
And I think one of the things that the Ravens maybe are coming to grips with is that maybe he's not the type of guy that can transition to left guard. And so this is most likely this is Zeitler's last year with the Baltimore Ravens, usually on how these 3-year deals are constructed. And so maybe the idea is to transition him into right guard. Those are just my assumptions, what I believe. Take it for what you will. So to me, the left guard, like you said, comes down to Maccari, Tyree Phillips. So the question really to me, Glenn, is not about who got paid, But do you think that Tyree Phillips can be better based on his physical gifts than a Patrick Maccari at left guard, barring health? Now, we know the big thing with Phillips is he hasn't been healthy, but we'll say he's healthy. Like, where do you feel like what's your preference as far as ability, right? Like, do you have a preference between the two?
Yeah, I would hope. I hope that if you're telling me it's between those guys, I hope Tyree Phillips grabs the job, stays healthy, and takes it over. Because what I like about Tyree is he's extremely athletic and he's gigantic. He is a huge guy. He's 6'5", 330 pounds, quite a bit larger than Maccari would be if he was in there, as well as Ben Powers, not Ben Cleveland, of course, who's an absolute giant.
Right.
But Ben Cleveland's the only guy on the roster that would be bigger at that position than Tyree Phillips. And I think there's no doubt between those two who's the more athletic and fleet of foot. I think Tyree Phillips is a hell of an athlete. He showed that when he picked that ball up and was rumbling and stumbling, breaking a couple tackles. So I think they must love they try and get him in anytime they can. So it just comes down to the health. And that's too big of an if for me, Jimbo, because I'm starting to get like, when you're hurt all the time in the league, you get kind of labeled as that, as just a guy who gets hurt a lot. And that could ultimately be what holds Tyree Phillips back from realizing, his true potential, because the coaches obviously see something in him. When we watch him, you can see it. He's big, he's strong, he can move his feet. But if you can't stay on the field, then why are we giving you reps in practice? And why are we, continuing to invest time in Tyree Phillips if he's not going to be out there week 1 or week 2, on Sundays? That's my only thing with him, because they obviously like him. But Ben Powers, that's interesting. You think he'll get cut. I mean, I see what you're saying with the cap. And if there's no other injuries, they don't keep a ton of guards because of the flexibility that, Maccari brings. So I could see that being a possibility. Man, what
if JP and Justin Houston both end up back, end up here, right?
That could be. And then, so then do you keep, man, I guess I don't want to do too much crossover to other positions, but does that make Tristan Colon more valuable?
Right. Because of the possibility of Maccari having to cover other positions, that number just increases, right?
Yeah.
So that's another great point as well. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting, but I feel pretty good about the fact that Powers is gone.
So you think they're giving up on Ben Cleveland this year and just putting him at right and saying,
look, hey, you're the backup if Zeitler misses a game, but from here on out, you focus on learning from and getting as best that you can at right guard, because when he's gone, you better win the job.
Wow. Okay. I mean, look, he's only 23 years old, Jimbo. So they could view him as the project that you're talking about and say you're Kevin Zeitler's replacement when he ultimately retires, which he's 32. That might, he has 11 years in the league, but he's only 32. He's not, 35. So I guess we'll kind of, wait and see. But
I don't know if he's going to retire. I just mean that
he has signed
a 3-year deal. Yeah. This is the second year of his 3-year deal. Usually on the last year of that deal, one of two things happen, right? You extend him, which could happen, right? Or you say adios, right?
They could let him walk, but man, I would be disappointed to see them give up on Ben competing for the left guard spot, because I don't think there's much harm.
Dude, do you remember him getting cooked when we were at camp?
Well, that was early. Yeah, I do. But I also remember him being a pretty ferocious run blocker at times when we saw him during the season. And
fair enough.
And he was always pretty impressive as a pass blocker in college. So I don't know. I hope that they give him a shot at left guard. I hope they give all these guys a shot at left guard and let the best guy win. Because if it is Ben Cleveland, you got 6'6", 357 coming at you. Man, that'll cover up some maybe of the small, everybody picks on Linderbaum for being small. Yeah. Well, if you got that guy to your left and you got Zeitler to your right, who's 6'4", 320, it might help out a little bit of the undersized center in Linderbaum.
Imagine next year if Zeitler is gone with Cleveland on your right and Phillips barring health on your left. You got big country on each side of you. I mean, That's a
Yeah.
problem. So I don't know. I just have a hunch, of mine. I feel like that might end up being the case, and it might end up being what's best for his career and for the Ravens.
Mhm.
Just to kind of narrow his focus in. But I also understand your point where it can't hurt having him compete, but it could also because he's getting less reps at what eventually will be his role, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just
Mhm.
be a specialist at this. Let's not worry about teaching a new language or making you ambidextrous when you
Uh-oh.
just simply what's up?
Is this me? Do
I,
I sound weird?
no, you sound fine. Uh-oh. Oh, anyway, my point is simply that I think that Ben Cleveland is going to be the eventual replacement for Kevin Zeitler, and so taking reps at that role is going to be the best bet. You back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Oh, it's your speakers from your computer, so just change your audio like
Oh,
in
gotcha,
your
gotcha,
setting.
gotcha.
Yeah, but we can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, let me just
There you
you
go.
know,
You're back.
okay, good, good. Yeah, I just switched it. All right. Sorry, guys. These technical difficulties are
All
crazy.
good.
So I gotta drill it down with you. What is the your prediction on who wins this left?
Tyree Phillips.
Tyree Phillips is your guy.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they want him to be the guy, and so as long as there's no injuries, I think he wins it. And yeah, I agree with you. But
Let me
man,
ask you this though, Glenn. I know that we're not talking about the tackles yet. Everyone's been talking about Juwan and even Maccari, potentially taking over that role. Is there any way that Phillips is the left tackle starting the season if Stanley's not ready to go, and then you plug
mm,
Maccari in at left guard?
man, that's interesting. If you look at last year, I almost think I might feel more comfortable with Maccari at left tackle and leave
Dude, he's just
Tyree
a
Phillips.
fight dude. He
He
just
is.
fights.
He is, man. It doesn't make sense how he's good at every
Yeah.
position,
Yeah.
but he's at least a little bit above average, I think, at the tackle position, and that at least at right tackle. Left
Yeah.
tackle, we'll put him as an average player, but to do that coming from where he's come from, it's pretty cool. It's pretty special, but I
Dude,
think I'd rather have him there.
yeah, that's interesting because I guess I would too. He just reminds me of that. Like, I have a friend that has a psycho dog. He's an Australian cattle dog. Love the dog to death. He's just incredibly fierce,
Mhm.
and like he's 50 pounds, normal looking dog. Yeah, I've seen him mash on some dogs that are like double his size, just wreck them. So that's just Maccari's style, man. I don't know how he does it. Like you said, he just fights, dude. He's just got it in him, and it's impressive. So I think I can understand your point, and I think I agree that I would have more confidence in Maccari being there for the sake of consistency, right?
Yeah.
But left guard, do you think it's Phillips?
Yeah, I think it's Tyree with the mobility, the size. He fits exactly what they want out of a guard. Just got to stay healthy. And if he doesn't, then that's the thing. If he doesn't stay healthy, then I want Powers to still be around because of the fact that at least I know that they understand what he's good at, what he's not good at, and can,
Mhm.
because if he's gone, then say something happens to Stanley, now you need Maccari at left tackle. Now you need Ben Cleveland so it's just, man, it's going to be tough, man. I don't think I think it's going to make it real tough for Tristan Colon to make the team if Tyree Phillips is healthy and Ben Powers and Ben Cleveland. I think it's
Yeah.
just all comes down to health is going to shake up this whole group.
Yeah, it's a great point. But our locks, of course, then when it comes to projected guards, would be Phillips,
Mhm.
Powers, or not Powers, excuse me, Cleveland,
Zeitler.
and Zeitler. Are those our only three locks at guard?
No, I think Ben Cleveland's a lock to make the roster for
Right, that's what I
sure.
said. Yeah, those three:
Oh, you
Cleveland,
did?
Phillips, and Zeitler. That are
Yeah,
like,
then I guess you got to give because they haven't kept. I'm trying to look back at their previous history. Well, typically they do keep four. So if the fourth has got to be Ben Powers.
right, and then so like DK just mentioned, Maccari, of course, would be the fourth lock. It just all depends on how you categorize him, right? That's why I don't think
Yeah,
Powers is a lock.
I
Because
see what you're
Maccari is
saying.
such a wild card. So, like, the only three true locks to me at guard
Yeah,
are
yeah,
those three. And
it's a
then
good point.
Powers is definitely still a question mark, dude, because Maccari can do what you do and potentially better.
Well, he can do what you do better, and he can do a bunch of other stuff that
Right.
you can't do at all.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So I think I agree with you. I think Powers is on shaky ground, but if as soon as an injury happens above him, then it becomes an immediate lock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that he's rooting for that, but
Right.
that would certainly make his life a little easier. But yeah, so yeah, 3 locks is all I see as well, with Ben Powers being right on the outside of that lock line, and then obviously a big uphill climb for a guy like Khalil McKenzie to make the team. But let us know what you guys think. I know this isn't the sexiest of positions, but no doubt the importance of it when you talk about keeping Lamar Jackson confident, avoiding that interior push of a defensive lineman. But let us know who is the leader right now in your eyes as the left guard, who is the primary backup, and where do they classify Maccari, and how does that change kind of the depth chart shakeup of the whole inside of that, and really the tackle position too. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll talk soon.